Hello, this is Gerard Evans again, and today we're going to be talking about Standards 5, 6, and 7. So Standard 5 is talking about the effective educational leaders cultivate an inclusive, caring, and supportive school community that promotes academic success and the well-being of each student. So the guiding question here is, how does an effective leader build and maintain a safe, caring, and healthy school environment that meets the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs of each student? Well, we have a student handbook and a staff handbook that, quite frankly, show and tell the community what it means to have a safe and caring environment. We have an anti-bullying policy in place. We have an anti-cyberbullying policy in place. We have safety measures in here in terms of if someone gets hurt or injured on campus, there's an emergency system that's in place that makes sure that students, quite frankly, are given the proper care that they need. We have a nurse on staff who helps us out not only with injuries but also COVID-19 testing, which some of our staff members have been trained in order to administer COVID-19 testing here on campus. We've got committees that are set up to make sure that address any further concerns or issues that might happen on campus. And so there's a lot that our school does in terms of making sure that we create a safe environment for students, which allows for us to then focus on their academics. So accommodations to meet the range of learning needs of each student is a guiding question here. So when we see that there's a student who has an issue, we will actually have a meeting with all the content teachers that deal with such student, and we will come up with a plan. And we can use time during the day to support the student's needs. Once again, we don't have like a special education service here that provides, separate opportunity for support, but each teacher takes time and effort to make sure that student has the necessary time to go to them during ECA, which is our extracurricular activity sessions that happen every day for 45 minutes. And so if a student needs extra support and help, he or she can go to that teacher during that time period and get the support they need. If we think it's more than that, there's really not a system in place to help when there's more that student needs. Being in China, that there's really not a special education initiative here. Typically, it's based on students who are low functioning, and so that it's been classified that less than like 2% of high school or students in general here in China are classified as special needs, which is a cultural phenomenon, whereas in the States, I think the number is a lot higher. And so it's hard to address it culturally when parents and other people don't understand what it means. However, when we think that there's a kid who needs some extra support and services, we provide it for them. Going back to extracurricular activities, we offer a large range of clubs and opportunities: ultimate frisbee, basketball, volleyball, badminton, ping pong, Model UN. There's a ton of clubs and organizations we have here on campus that helps with extracurricular activities. So how does an effective leader plan for uncertainty, risk, and emergencies? As mentioned actually in the first guiding question we talked about, we have an emergency activation system here in place in which if we see that there's a danger or a situation, whether it be in Shanghai, mostly it's like COVID related, but if there's water damage or something that is typically doesn't happen here, we've got a system in place that makes sure that the kids are placed in safety areas around the campus to help with their well-being and safety. Standard 6, looking at professional capacity of school personnel. The effective educational leaders develop the professional capacity and practice of school personnel to promote each student's academic success and well-being. So the question here is, how does an effective leader recruit, hire, support, develop, and retain effective and caring teachers? It's been a challenge. I mean, here in China, quite frankly, it takes a lot of energy and effort and the help of recruits outside of the school to help us out. I have played an active role in finding people who can teach the subjects that we need to be taught here on campus. Typically in the past, math and science has been a challenge for us, but lately it's been history actually. And the reason why I think history has been a challenge because the current policy here in China for the majority of schools here is that only history can be taught by Chinese nationals. Now, international schools are allowed to teach history because they are typically run and organized by foreign teachers and staff and personnel. However, the international programs and public high schools have not been able to hire foreign staff for history classes. And so history has been a struggle. A lot of history teachers have left China in the last 2 or 3 years. And so like finding history teachers have been challenging. Now, once we find them, then how do we keep them, right? Like, I feel like the onboarding process is something that's really important in helping people realize that we do care from the beginning. Professional development. I know that we run 3 PD days per year, but I feel like there's more that needs to be done. We do actually offer professional development online. We've paid for a service. I believe the service is called Optimus Education or Atlas Education. I'm forgetting at the moment. But we do offer online PD. But the thing is about PD is like it's not very sexy for teachers, especially teachers here in Shanghai who've gone through a COVID crisis. And so it's not only like we have to figure out a way to motivate teachers to want to do better in their profession. And sadly, that motivation sometimes is just, it could be something that's monetary. But, it feels like, motivation should come from within, not from without. So that's something I have to work on, is figuring out how to, motivate teachers to actually want to do PD. One way we're thinking about is letting them have the theme. Having staff kind of come in and talk about what would they like to learn. And hopefully that helps with actually more motivation on the staff part. So how does an effective leader foster continuous improvement of individuals and collective instruction capacity? We have purchased RenWeb, which is our LMS. It constantly allows for teachers and staff to look at how students are doing in the classrooms on a daily basis. You can look at grades from as far as when the school opened up 10 years ago. It allows us to review the data that is necessary for us to understand our students. Today, for example, actually, we're running map testing to have a further idea about our students' capabilities in terms of language arts and math and science. And so we're always trying to gather data, but the question has always been, what do we use this data for, right? And so we also have to relay this data to the staff and to the school community so that we're on the same page of why are we doing certain things on campus. And so, like I said, we are always looking at data to make sure that we feel as though that everything is what we can do to actually help students perform better in the classroom. I did skip, I'm sorry. So how does an effective leader deliver actionable feedback about instruction and other professional practice? So actually, recently, we've been spending time, myself and the Chinese vice principal have been spending time walking around doing informal assessments of the grade 8 and grade 9 teachers. Our initiative, our drive is to bring continuity to the 8th and 9th grade programs, because the 8th grade program is heavily catered to the Zhengkao, which is the Chinese examination system, whereas the 9th grade program is more catered to the high school program, the international high school route. And so we've got to bring more continuity. So we've been actually going into classes informally and just kind of seeing what teachers are doing. And we're realizing right away that there needs to be more leadership and guidance at the middle school level, because over the last 3 or 4 years, the lack of leadership has kind of given the teachers an opportunity to kind of do what they want to without much guidance. And we've seen that there's an incentive to focus more on the Zhengkao and a financial incentive. So teachers are teaching less English in the classrooms and focusing more on the Chinese Zhengkao. So that's so we're making observations, we're giving feedback, and in real time, and eventually we're going to go from these informal observations to a more formal observation, in which we have kind of we have a rubric that teachers understand, and we're asking the teachers for lesson plans and so forth, so that we have the pre-meeting and then the post-meetings afterwards about the observations. So we do these evaluations typically for our new staff 4 or 5 times a year. And once after 2 years of kind of the probation period, then it's more like just once or twice a year. And so we frequently are doing walkthroughs, either informal or formally, making sure that just kind of see what teachers are doing in the classroom. Let's see, how does an effective leader develop the capacity, opportunities, and support for teacher leadership and leadership from other members of the school community? Well, we create committees. We have several committees that we allow teachers and parents to be a part of the process, to be a part of let's making this school great again. And so, like, we have many committees out here that, quite frankly, people are encouraged and allowed to participate to develop ideas, to develop a plan so that we can administer that plan for the future. So the last standard, standard 7, professional community for staff, teachers and staff. You can hear that in the background, right? Yep. Let's just pause for a second. Okay, we're back. Let's look at standard number 7. Sorry for that. There were students who were outside. They were changing classes, and so it got pretty loud. This is just an example of what is said in our faculty handbook about head of department expectations. So next guiding question, how does an effective leader provide opportunities for collaborative examination of practice, collegial feedback, and collective learning? As I said, like the HODs have an opportunity to have meetings at least once a month in which they can collaborate and figure out exactly what's the best course of action to take either in language arts, history, math, or sciences. There's also HOD meetings with the administrators to figure out exactly what is our goals for the school year. I feel as though the school gives opportunities to allow for us to have these meetings and conversations on Fridays, which is a day that we let the kids out early in order to have our meetings, so that there is consistent conversation going on, consistent consistent questioning and coming up with ideas to kind of help the school become better. Here's an example of our calendar, and if you notice here, like the Fridays, you see the HOD meeting on the 14th, you've got department team meetings on the 21st, you've got student meetings on the 28th, and so what we're having here on a month-to-month basis is that we're always having a team meeting, we're always having an HOD meeting, we're always having student meetings, so that everyone is a part of the communication process. Everyone understands what's going on campus and so forth. If you also notice on the 22nd, we have Swiss PD Day, in which the entire Swiss community has professional development on a Saturday. Not the most sexy thing in the world, but it allows us to kind of, once again, come together as a community, as a, company community to kind of come together and come up with some ideas and maybe brainstorm and figure out some of the strategies that we can use in the classroom. Here we have our own PD Day on the 19th here of November. So we have the Swiss, which is like citywide. Then the Wanyuan campus is just our campus having a PD on the 19th of November. And so these are just reflections that I had about the program, which you can read on your own. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.